No. No. I can't even put them on anymore. For those of you who don't know, I actually used to wear these. These are my glasses. I got laser eye correction very recently and I'm now glasses free after having glasses since I was probably in grade 1. Yeah, this is pretty important and pretty amazing. But today's video is totally not about that. We're a filmmaking channel, so we're going to talk about how to remove the reflections from your subject's glasses. If you're filming anybody with glasses, this is the #1 bane of your existence. It can be terribly difficult to fix depending on the size of the room that you're shooting in, the angle that your subject is facing, the angle that you can physically get the light at. Lots and lots of variables. Even the shape, size, and coating of the glasses can be a problem. But here are some simple things that you can try to cut that reflection. The first thing I want to talk about is using large soft source lighting, much like the light I'm using here. This is the Westcott Solix with a Polo Orb, and it's a beast. If you want to see my review on this, I'll leave a link up here, and also I'll leave a link down below if you would like to purchase the light or look into purchasing the light. I love this light source, mainly because it is very versatile. I can rip that dome off and use it as a harsh light source or bounce it off a wall or do whatever I need to do. But I can also put this dome on it and make it a beautiful, large, soft source, which is my favorite type of light. But it is my favorite type of light for this video because it is my #1 tip for you in cutting reflections from glasses. Large soft source lights actually tend to suit well to shooting any subject that is reflective, so cars, glass, water, anything like that. If you're using a large soft source light, anything like that will just appear more beautiful, mostly because the reflection that it gives off is more flattering than a small harsh light. Using a large soft source is also going to limit the amount of shadow coming off the frames of the glasses. So if your subject has thick framed glasses and you're lighting with a harsh source, you're going to see this very distinct line on their cheeks or on their face or over their eye, depending on where they're looking and where the light source is located. But that can be really distracting to your audience. So you kind of want to minimize that little shadow that appears from the glasses frame. Therefore, using a large soft source, it's going to soften that right off and you're barely going to notice it. If you do have small harsh lights like little 1x1 LED panel or a little LED that you put on top of your camera, that's totally fine as well, but have a think about different ways that you can make that as big as it possibly can be. This might be something as simple as just bouncing it into a wall or bouncing it into even a piece of paper. Also think about the distance between your diffusion or your reflector and your light source. The bigger the distance, yes, the less power, but the bigger the surface area of your light source. Just something to think about. The next thing you should think about is actually where you are placing your lights and the angle that your subject is looking. Make sure that your subject is not looking directly at the light source, and move your light sources around as far as you possibly can to still get flattering light, but also cut any of the reflections that are in their glasses. To find those points, you can simply just use a torch. Shine a torch into the glasses of your subject while they're facing in the direction that they will be facing in the shot, and then work out at what point that reflection disappears. And at that point, you can place your light source. Also, just make sure that your light is that little bit higher than the eye line of your character or your actor or your subject, just because it kind of makes the light source a little bit less obvious if there is any catch and reflection, and more often than not, your subject is not going to be looking up at that light and catching the reflection. But I mean, if your light source is large and soft, it's not going to look as bad as it would if it was a small, harsh light. So they kind of work hand in hand, if you even notice it at all. And the final thing I want to talk about is using one of these. And if you've seen my previous video about why I think you should invest in filters, you'll know that this is a polarizer. Polarizers pretty much cut reflections. So if you are having trouble removing that little reflection from your subject's glasses and you've done everything I've said in this video, try and use a polarizer and see if that cuts anything from your reflection. Sometimes it may not work depending on the angle and even the coating on the lens of the glasses, but a polarizer should assist you further. So yeah, it's really just common sense. It's where you're placing your lights and how large your light source is. They are the most important things, but I would say that the number one thing would be the size of your light source. So try and make something as big as it possibly can be. That was my last tip, and this video is probably really short. So congratulations, you made it all the way through. Anyway, if you enjoyed that video, please remember to give it a big fat thumbs up. And if you would like to see more of my face and learn a little bit more about filmmaking in the process, remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next Sunday.